Starting today, the 20th of August, U.S. tourist and business visas for citizens of Zambia and Malawi will require a deposit of up to $15,000 US. You had that right, $15,000 under a new 12-month pilot program. Authorities in Washington say this measure is intended to curb visa overstays, and it might be expanded to other countries depending on the results of this pilot. The move broadly aligns with President Donald Trump's immigration crackdown, which so far has included a combination of travel bans and visa revocations. Now, while that bond is refundable, the cost of getting it in the first place has placed travel pretty much out of reach for many in Zambia. Let's bring in Dr. Prosper Chitambara. He's a development economist. He's joining us on the line from Zimbabwe for more analysis on this policy change. Dr. Chitambara, of the 22 countries with visa overstay rates over 10% in 2023, 80% of those were here in Africa. Based on that figure, there's a problem to be addressed, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely there's a problem to be addressed, and I think the key drivers of this are the socio-economic challenges facing a number of African countries. So we are seeing that a lot of our citizens that are going to not just to America, but even to Europe and to other Western nations are not coming back home. It's really to do with the state of the economies in a number of African countries that's actually driving citizens of Africa to the US, to Europe, to Western countries in general. And a significant number of them are actually overstaying their visas or their welcome in those countries. So it's creating a bit of challenges for the US government, but also for Western governments in general.
How exactly does this work? Do we know if the bond has to be paid in cash, or there are other assets that will be acceptable as collateral when individuals apply for these B1 or B2 visas?
From what we know, it's paid actually virtually. There's a platform, I think it's gov.pay, where you can actually log in. But there's also a form that is to be filled, but you actually pay that money through international transfer or on that secure platform that's been created.
Do we have any clarity on how the US is deciding what bond size to apply? Because the range of figures have been given is anywhere between $5,000 on the low end to $15,000 on the upper end.
I think that will be dependent on the interview. Obviously, you'll be interviewed, and based on that interview, then you may be asked to pay $5,000, $10,000, or even $15,000. I think it depends on a number of factors, but it's largely the discretion of the immigration officer that would determine how much you will pay based on the interview that you undergo.
Indeed, there's probably some financial institutions who are looking at this situation and probably calibrating or creating a product entirely to sort of meet that immediate financing need. One last question for you, Doctor. For African countries, though, what are the potential range of responses to these policy changes? As adverse as it might seem on paper, there is, as we just discussed, there's a real need, there's a real problem that has to be addressed. What can they do?
I think the options are very limited, given that most African countries are small economies, and I don't see them retaliating to this move by the US government. So I think what African governments need to do is to try to address some of the challenges or the issues that have actually been raised in terms of the whole security around immigration to the US from those countries. So I think the most important thing to do is to engage with the American government with the view of addressing the key challenges or the issues that have been noted by the US government. But of course, over and above that, we need to ensure that our economies are growing at a sustainable pace, creating jobs as a way of discouraging people from moving to the US.
CGTN's Farai Mukhtar spoke to some students and business owners who may be affected by this new US policy. These are some of their views.
Trevor McIntosh has two sons studying at university in the United States. The youngest just started a few weeks ago, and Trevor and his wife had hoped to visit him once he'd settled in. But the recent US measures have taken that plan off the table.
I understand the reasons for doing what they're doing, but they're excluding everybody who wants to come back home anyway. I mean, we own our own house here. We have all our own stuff here. There's nothing for me to want to leave. So it's it's really, really made it difficult because it's, you know, with two boys at university, it is highly unlikely that we are going to be in a financial position where we can put down a security deposit, even if it's going to be paid back. And the boys are going to be there for 4 years, so it's not a short time. It's really, really going to make it difficult for us to go and see them. Virtually impossible, in fact.
The Zambian government raised concerns about the potential strain on diplomatic relations in a statement issued by its Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which reads, "The pilot program does not foster or engender the deepening of bilateral relations, but rather it is counter to the spirit of mutual beneficial relations between two sovereign states." Despite this, some economists suggest the policy could open new doors for those who are turned away.
I kind of see it as a blessing in disguise, if you like, to allow us Zambians who have been so connected to Western developed economies to look elsewhere for other opportunities.
But other sectors will take a knock.
I think, yes, it will impact our members because you'll have less people traveling to America. Travel will continue, but it will just not be to the USA.
The US government has not said how long the measures will remain in place, but as long as they do, they risk separating loved ones and disrupting business. Farai Makutuya, CGTN.